Yeah, here you go. Politico.eu. Germany, we got it right here. Germany issued arrest warrant for Ukrainian over Nord Stream bombing, reports say. The suspect was able to evade the arrest warrant.
Oh.
It was a Ukrainian who blew up the Russian Nord Stream pipeline.
This should be a debate question. Why is this?
See, I feel like the voters have an attention span of this long. They don't care.
Yeah, but I'm saying why obfuscate the purpose for the conflict? Like the Burisma scandal with Joe Biden? Why obfuscate it? Why? I don't understand. Like, the Democrats are voting in lockstep, and you'd probably earn the respect of at least some people on the right if you told the real reason why we were engaging in this.
Unless there's more to it, and it's not just as simple as that.
Sure, but at the least they could say is that, like, they could at least talk about what's going on, and then you'd end up with, like, it's not like these other countries don't know this already. Who are they tricking? I don't understand why they don't just give a reason for engaging in this war. Putin is Hitler and he's going to take Poland. No, he's not. That's ridiculous. He shouldn't have invaded Ukraine. Fine, I get it. But what is our involvement predicated upon?
Yeah, the only off-the-cuff reason I could give for Biden not wanting to make an energy-based argument for being in the war is because he ran with a very intense environmental policy. And so, he made a big deal out of, like, EVs or whatever else. Like, there were American pipelines that people really didn't want him to sign off on. And so if you're saying it's okay in Europe, then, like, maybe you would hurt your own base. But I think mostly it's just, like, the joy of lying. Like, there's a level of, like, we can't tell anyone why we would have a vested interest in anything for quote unquote national security, even though we don't care about the border.
Maybe they don't want to admit to instigating unrest in Syria.
Well, we don't want to admit to anything. We're always the good guys. We never do anything wrong.
But everyone in the world knows. It's not like it's a secret. It's American history.
Irrelevant to us, though, right? Like, I mean, and us being like big government, not me specifically.
I honestly think Democrats would earn more votes if they were completely honest. If they owned their morality and said outright, we want cheap energy into Europe, so Europe's economy grows and it generates revenue for us. The American, people are going to be like, why is the U.S. funding and helping Europe? And if Western powers, like, they're our allies and we prefer them to win over Russia and China, and we want to get cheaper energy and we want to basically disrupt the Russian economy and diminish them as a global power. And then after that, we want to, extend our bases across the region. Like, you'd get independent voters being like, oh, okay, I guess. At least tell me why they're doing it.
Not a bad idea.
Some people don't care about the war. They care about the lying.
Yes. I feel like that's their MO too. It's like they've been doing it for so long, they don't know how to be honest.
Yeah,
with
that
people.
wouldn't be their vibe to do that.
Their vibe.
It wouldn't. And
it's terrible. That
it would be refreshing. It would be. Even, like, for me, it would be refreshing to see that.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
It would be. Yeah. I would have way more respect than the weird, just not talk about it,
Like
it's like Trump with the guns and the oil. We got guys over, he's protecting the oil to keep it and sell it. When he was going on the plane or the helicopter, and they asked him about the oil and guns over in Afghanistan.
I don't know. Maybe
he's honest about it.
Maybe the sad reality is there's just, the average person is not very, very.
What was that?
What's the right word I'm thinking of? I'm not trying to say stupid, but disinterested in a sense. Like they don't care what the reason is, and so you can give them as base a reason as possible, and it's satisfying. Mm. Yeah, Putin's the bad guy. That's why. It's like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna go play football. I'm gonna go watch the game. I don't care.
I think having a vague explanation like Russia is bad blanket statement without any details works better if you decide ultimately to change your tactic, right? Like if you were like, we have this one specific complaint, energy, then as soon as anyone can spot a way around it, you have to end the war. Whereas if it's just generally like they're the bad guys, then you can justify giving tons of money or making, other decisions, admitting them to NATO, all the stuff.
Gives you more power because you can
it's flexible.
Move around more, yeah.
Man, I don't know. I wonder if just like my whole life it's been war, and this period where we've had this limited warfare that, Ian references like Kissinger and stuff, it's anomalous to the world. The world's just always at war. Maybe, acting like you can make it all stop and have world peace is just too naive. I don't know. I can't think of a time in my life where there was no war.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that there could be a human society that didn't have any kind of conflict that results in violence, right? Like think of the civil wars that are going on in Africa right now. Like there's all kinds of tensions that we don't talk about on the scale that we talk about Ukraine, Israel. Obviously, there's like bigger economic consequences to that. I think we would want as many people on Earth to get along and treat each other respectfully and peacefully. But ultimately, the idea that we would live in a world with no violence at all is, contrary to all of human history.
Well, of course. I guess it's just a question of what happens when the U.S. loses its hegemonic position.
Yeah.
Which feels like it's coming.
I think it's coming, but I think the sad part too about like I've never lived at a time where there wasn't war either, but I think our generations have become numb to it, where we see, oh, Ukraine invaded Russia, I don't care, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And you need to pay attention to that because eventually it's like coming closer and closer, and
one day you're going to wake up in a conflict and not know why if you're not paying attention.
yep.
Yeah.
So you can't become numb to it.
But my growing concern is just, what does the world look like? We're looking at the end of the petrodollar. BRICS nations having this convention to raise their own currency. What does the world look like for the United States when the U.S. loses this position? And so, like the analogy I gave in the past couple of days is, Trump's attitude is pull the car over, fix the brakes, change the tires, work on the engine. And, the Democrats scream, that'll put us, like Russia and China are going to zoom past us. We can't let that happen. And so their attitude is slam the pedal to the metal and just take the car until the engine bursts.
Yeah, the nuts flying off and the doors falling off.
Because maybe we'll win the race.
Yeah.
And then we can fix the car later or something.
Very short-term sighted, I feel like. Whereas you have to think big on this. You have to think long-term about this kind of stuff and think about like the next generations and your children and what is the United States, what does the world look like 30, 40 years from now?
China taking over. Belt and Road Initiative, colonial expansion into South America and Africa, the Chinese Communist Party having global hegemonic power and a unipolar Chinese Communist Party world.
Even with their population and everything failing?
I don't know. It's like all these conflicting narratives. It's just like, I don't know. It's wild.
And you think that no matter if Trump wins?
At this point, with Ukraine invading Russia, I don't know if there's an easy answer for Trump to de-escalate this. Certainly, he can call Putin and say we're going to walk things back. But now Putin's going to be like, your country gave weapons to them and it invaded us, and then he's going to have demands that Trump's not going to want to give into. And then at this point in the war, it does seem like restore the natural borders and end the invasion from Russia. Ukraine retains its original positions, would have to be Trump's position based on, at this point with Ukraine invading Russia, how does Trump negotiate? No, we're going to pull all the Ukrainians back and give you more. How do you argue that? No, Trump would have to say Ukrainians are going to withdraw from the Russian territory and the borders will take their original positions. So that's why I don't know. What I can tell you this is, I don't know why we're involved in it.
Yeah.
It's always been a mystery to me.
I mean, I literally know energy. That's the real reason. We want to shut, what do they call Russia? It's a gas, they call it a gas station with snow or something. I don't know. There's some phrase for it. But the West wants to basically shut them out. And they want to control the flow of energy without interference from Russia. I think the reason why the U.S. is under Obama and why they were so pissed at Trump, China is the bigger threat in the bigger picture. But I think the strategy from NATO is to destroy Russia's economy, end them as a regional power, and then China falls like a paper tiger. But if the U.S. allows Russia to continue to control the energy into Europe, then Russia and China combined makes it more difficult for NATO to gain control of these other territories. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, you got Australia and U.S. forces gearing up for Taiwan. Yeah. And the BRICS nation expansion, I don't see how this ends well. And I will stress, all of this was going on well before Trump got elected. Russia and China were planning on dumping dollars, and these moves were happening. So it seemed like no matter what, the war was inevitable, so long as the West refuses to give up this hegemonic power.
Well, definitely if we don't address China like the threat that it actually is. That's what's always bothered me. I know that China and Russia have their own relationship and dynamic, but the criticism of Russia is it to me has always seemed far more intense than China, even though China has a huge influence on our country economically, and for whatever reason, probably because we have a lot of China has a lot of influence in American politics. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah, we talk about how about Russiagate, coming in and interfering with the election and everything, but they never talk about China. They never talk about China interfering with anything. Or
They are. China's been cyber attacking the U.S. for
A while.
decades. This was a huge story 10 years ago. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.